What, we some kind of suicide squad?
I am Iron Man.
You are a toy!
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Server Anakin! I have the high ground!
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Welcome back to the Big Movie Boys podcast, the only podcast afraid to leave its house. I'm your host, Jeremy Baum, and with me as always is Bob Liebel.
What's up, dogs?
And Ben Stitch.
What's going on out there? Jeremy, before we get going in this great podcast, action-packed podcast we got going, are you as nervous about this weekend as I am for fantasy basketball?
I've never been more devoted to a single event in my life than I have been this fantasy basketball season. So far, I've watched a total of 0 NBA games, but it was enough to get me into the finals.
Yeah, I've watched probably like one NBA game total this year. I am up by 1 point total. The scoring system in fantasy basketball is so stupid.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it.
It's so dumb. But I'm beating Jeremy by 1 point. And the great thing about this is if we end up being
12 days into a 14-day
where no one's playing.
That also doesn't make any sense. Why do we play every fucking day for 2 weeks
it's ridiculous.
My team sucks for listeners at home. It was
Bob should have made the playoffs, didn't.
Certain dildo as a fucking commissioner kind of screwed me on that one.
Me and Jeremy are both 10-6. I am the higher seed for God only knows what reason, because Jeremy outscored me by about 1,000 points throughout the season. So, Jeremy, I'm up by 1 point. If we end up tied, I'm pretty sure I get the win based off the tiebreaker of
I would
higher
love
seed.
to see that.
That is how I want to win.
I want you to win that way as well. I don't care. I would prefer that outcome to me winning, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, because I think winner gets $60, loser gets 40. That's fair enough.
Assuming people actually pay us, but we'll see how that all
we'll
goes.
see if Bob pays.
Good chance nobody gets their money.
Well, we know something that's happening for sure, and that is for the 8th week in a row, Ben will be telling us what we missed in the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. We're getting close to the end, finally.
Yeah, you would think. I feel like the last episode's going to be a 3-hour movie.
Is it going to be like, you think it's going to be like Game of Thrones, where like the second to last episode is like the really big action-packed episode, and then you just kind of get your finale at the end?
I'm assuming we'll get the Don't Bothers versus the Ducks in the last episode, but this episode, pretty good episode. Got a lot of Nick the Stick. He was fucking hysterical in this episode. The Ducks, they kind of do a montage of games here. They win a bunch of games. Like 3 of them were on buzzer beater goals. I think they've now won 6 games at the buzzer in hockey, which
Very
never
common.
happens.
Yeah.
Literally never happens.
As the writers know, it happens in almost every hockey game. So that's
But what's her name? Alex, aka Lorelai Gilmore, is becoming a shit fucking coach. Only cares about the winning.
Oh,
She's doing interviews with like newspapers and like talking about
is interviewing these people.
Don't worry about it. She's getting interviewed and she talks about how this is just all about the fun, but the kids are watching. They're like, no, it's not about the fun anymore. You just want to win. She's making them eat like super fucking healthy, and they're doing like 2-a-day practices. I think they're dropping out of school. I don't know what's really going on.
The comedic fat character must not be a fan of the healthy eating or 2-a-days. I'm assuming he didn't enjoy it.
I'm gonna skip ahead because this one's not really a great episode besides the Nick the Stick, because it's just a lot of them just fast forwarding through games and Gordon Bombay like teaching the one kid how to be better a little bit. There's like a good looking kid and Nick's a little jealous of him, whatever.
Of his looks?
Yeah, and like thinks he has everything. They have a heart to heart. That's the other like story of this episode. I'm not getting into that bullshit. But anyways, Nick the Stick, after the big win to go to states, they're now in 2nd place in the league. Top 2 teams go to states, them and the Ducks. So Lorelai Gilmore, after the game, is pissed about how they won the game. She's like, you didn't listen to me. You weren't supposed to. She was mad at the good-looking kid for scoring the goal because he was on the bench, and they tricked her into letting him get on the ice. I can't even explain this. You have to watch it. But anyways,
that doesn't make any sense.
He scores the game-winning goal at the buzzer. She's not happy because they disobeyed her. So then she comes in, knocks all the sticks down, gets pissed at everyone, and that's when Nick the Stick goes, wow, I was going to ask if you guys wanted to go to Dairy Queen, but the mood has seemed to change, and I lost my shit. And that's when Evan talks to the rest of the team. He's like, guys, don't worry. I need to fire my mom. And that's the end of the episode.
Ooh, cliffhanger.
Yeah, next week should be good because they're in the States now. We're getting down to the nuts and bolts. I'm guessing there'll be a nice action, like maybe a good sex scene between Bombay and Lorelai Gilmore.
I would love to see that. I'm sure Bombay is going to teach her that winning isn't everything.
It isn't. Yeah, she'll learn. Yeah,
she'll learn.
Bombay was pissed at her. He was not happy with her this episode.
Win or lose, Ducks coaches booze.
Exactly.
That's the tried and true method of one Gordon Bombay. All right. Well, it sounds like we're getting into the. It feels like things are finally coming to a close. Some of those tangential storylines and threads are really getting closure at this point.
They close all those storylines away, and like each episode has like one storyline that they just close during that episode, and yeah, this needs to end. I can't believe they did 10 episodes. 8.
I can't wait for season 2.
Oh my god, I will
this will probably get renewed for season 2. Do you think people are watching this? Is there any kind of numbers that are out on this yet?
I don't think Disney Plus puts out their numbers like that.
It's got to be millions, hundreds of millions. Where does it end?
I mean, we're talking about it, so that's got to be big enough to get Disney's attention, I imagine. All right, well, we got 2 more episodes of that to look forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not.
Another thing that we're going to keep going on for at least 8 episodes will be our recaps of The Fast and the Furious. That's right, boys. It's time to fasten up for F9. How are we feeling this week?
Same as every week, kind of shitty about it.
Yeah, until you get to Fast 5, I really don't give a shit, even though Tokyo Drift is probably one that I've seen, like, sneakily, like, 3-4 times.
I don't think I've ever seen it start to finish, but I've seen, like, a good amount of scenes from this. Mostly the Bow Wow. I get YouTube recommendations for Bow Wow.
He was Bow Wow here, not Little Bow Wow, right?
He dropped the Lil.
Yeah, as he
Justin
should.
Timberlake came in and said, drop the Lil. And he did. That's a Social Network reference for you guys.
I wonder how he's doing. Not Justin
Bow
Timberlake.
Wow?
He's probably doing very well. Bow Wow is one we should be concerned about.
He's rolling in that like Mike money, dude.
Can't make much money.
That shit's on all the time.
That's it. That is one of my favorite movies.
You bring up a point, though. We've discussed previously that everyone on the planet has seen Fast 5, regardless of seeing any other
somehow
installment in the Fast and Furious franchise. I think that is a close second is Tokyo Drift. I feel like you ask 100 people, 98 of them have seen Tokyo Drift.
That number seems spot on. I
mean, I lie about seeing it. If you asked me if I saw it, I'd be like, yeah.
Definitely don't think I've watched it start to finish like you said, Bob, but I remember the main guy in this. He's a dumb motherfucker. I can't believe he's in high school in this. Jerry, you already have there in town. I didn't.
Why are you reading ahead?
I always do. Because it makes me remember this movie. I just remember having a crush on the main girl in this movie, but that's really about it. I remember those 2 characters and nothing else.
Those are 2 standout moments. Ben, you already ruined this bit, but I'm going to commit to it anyway. Boys, can you tell me how old you think this man is in this photo? Not Vin Diesel, the other man in this photo. Ballpark age.
40.
Dude, if I was really going to guess, I would guess like 33. Do you know how old he was when this was filmed?
I imagine somewhere between 50 and 60. But that is Lucas Black. He plays Shane in this movie, or Sean. I don't even remember. I wrote Sean. Could be Shane for all I know. And he's just your average 35-year-old high schooler, man. Like,
that's pretty bad.
All the characters in this movie are in high school for no goddamn reason. All the villains are connected to this high school.
Why couldn't they just make him in college?
This street racing gang is tied to this high school. It could have been college very easily. They didn't have to be in any schooling at all. This is one of the reasons this movie is absolute garbage. The girl that you're talking about that you had a crush on, she's like dating the Yakuza boss who's also like a drift pro.
She's in high school?
I don't know how old that guy is, but yes, she is in high school.
When was this movie? Did this movie come out?
2003?
They were a little more lax on
That's definitely
statutory
not
rape in
right.
2003, so that makes sense.
2005 maybe? I didn't write it down. This movie sucks if you can't pick up on it yet. Again, they don't get good until the next movie, so be sure to watch the next one. But
is Vin in this movie?
We'll get to that when we get to that.
He goes by Mr. Diesel.
Let's just start by saying nobody in the first 2 movies is in this movie.
Okay.
This movie, I watched the first 30 minutes of it on my first run. I'm like, am I watching a Fast and Furious movie? Sure, there's cars and people are racing, but I don't know who any of these goddamn people are. And then they go to Japan. They don't go to Japan in the first 2 movies, so that was very confusing. Basically, Shane, we're going to call him Sean because that's what I have written down.
Okay.
gets in a race at school with a school bully who's roughly 32 years old.
And these people all just have super fast fucking cars.
Yeah.
What the fuck? They don't work?
No.
Go to school.
They're in high school, but they're 16, Bob. What do you?
I don't understand how they have these cars.
What do you expect him to do? So he gets sent to Tokyo with his dad. The dad, strangest character in the world. He's like in the military or something.
Is he
I don't
younger
fucking
than
know.
his son?
He looks younger than his son. They look. The dad and his same age child are, having disputes, whatever.
Just so you know, Lucas Black is now 38 years old.
How
Wow.
old does he look now? 70?
How old was he when he played this?
He looks younger now, I guess. Dude, I don't know. This guy's a weird aged motherfucker.
Name one of his other
Is he
movies.
Benjamin Buttoning?
Like, do you want me to tell you or guess
just,
at one?
just see if you can guess one. See if I can guess one.
No fucking way you can guess
Fast
one.
and Furious 4.
No, I
Not-
don't think he's
never
in
in another one again. Does he die?
Yeah, he is in another one, evidently.
He's in another Fast and Furious. 5?
9. He's coming
Oh
back.
no!
He's coming back. He's probably still in high school.
Everyone's been clamoring for that guy from Sean from fucking Tokyo Drift to come back.
That might not even be true. They're just anyone who's connected to any Fast and Furious movie.
Anyway, Bow Wow's in this movie, and his car looks like the Hulk.
That's sweet.
Is that all you have
That's
to say?
his
Is Bow Wow playing himself, or is he
No.
the high schooler as well?
He's in high school.
Okay. He just plays
He
adolescent roles.
looks a little more high school aged, at least. I don't know how old he was for real. Yeah, there's really nothing to note in this movie other than the introduction of a character named Han. Han is a name you're going to want to remember.
We know Han.
One of the only redeeming parts of this movie is the introduction of Han. And Han dies in this movie. There's an explosion, a drifting accident. His car explodes and Han dies.
Okay.
So also remember that.
Rip Han.
Something tells me he doesn't stay dead.
And there's also a very stupid race at the end. Obviously, all the races drifting.
Yeah, Tokyo
Obviously.
Drift. Yeah. This is the one
there's
thing
no
I remember.
movie if they're not drifting. And so they drift on the mountains. That's where ancient samurais used to learn how to drift, apparently. Like, there's this whole thing about, like, people learn to drift on these mountains.
Cool. Yeah, it makes total sense.
And as the race is happening, again, this is like 2005 or whatever, everyone's got their flip phones out and their cameras, and people on the track are streaming their camera phones, their flip phones, so that other people at the starting and finish line, wherever they are, can watch the race live on their flip phones. That technology did not exist for like another 15 years when this movie came out. It looks hilarious when you watch.
Damn.
Yeah, with flip phones, that's a stretch, but I love that they saw the future coming.
They did. It definitely did not exist at the time. And then this movie ends with Bow Wow coming over to Sean, and he's like, "Hey, this dude wants to race you. Says he knows Han. And who is it?
Han?
Dom Toretto."
Oh, shit.
Shows up at the very end of this movie.
I hope Vin Diesel got paid $20 million for that
Probably.
appearance.
I think he was paid the rights to Chronicles of Riddick. I'm not joking. Or Triple X, one of the two. There was like this whole deal where he would make a cameo and then like produce the rest of the movies in this franchise and really like spin it up. That's why like I say the franchise starts with 4.
Yeah.
And then in return, he got either Chronicles of Riddick or Triple X. He got like the rights to those movies, and then he
Wow,
just
what a
continued
baller
making
move.
those.
Wow. Vin Diesel probably has sneakily has a shitload of money.
I believe that.
Unless the deal was, I don't need any money from the Fast and Furious movies. I just want to make the Chronicles of Riddick.
How close do you think his net worth is to $1 billion? How far off?
He probably
Let's
gets points.
ballpark. What
He
do you
probably
think
gets
his net
points
worth?
on these movies at this point. He's probably making
What do
so
you
much.
think his net worth is? I'm gonna say 500 million.
I'm gonna say 850 million.
I'll go 851 million.
225 million. That's not even that good.
Yeah, but
No,
they
he's got a lot of that in foreign offshore
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah. There's a lot of unreported income.
That's 225 taxable. He's got a lot that we don't know about, I'm sure. But yeah, as I've said, this movie is garbage. A lot of people who like this franchise like this movie. It is not a popular opinion that I hold that this movie sucks ass.
To me, it makes me think that it's not a great movie if the only thing they do with this movie is like introduce Han and bring him along in the future
And then kill him
and then kill him
in this movie.
I don't know. I think this movie might have a significant cultural impact because how many times have you been spinning around in some snowbanks and you say Tokyo Drift?
Yeah, it's like shooting a piece of garbage into a garbage can and saying Kobe. That's the same exact logic.
Except one can kill you. I've almost crashed my car multiple times doing that. So.
And the music, the theme song from Tokyo Drift, also iconic. It's synonymous with Fast and Furious at this point. That was one of the few things that this movie did right in a sea of just terrible, terrible decisions and dialogue and actors. Everyone in this movie sucks. Particularly Lucas Black, who is, again, 40 years old at the time of filming.
I hope he comes back to F9. That's going to be great.
Gray-haired.
And they're like, hey, how's college going, bud?
Yeah, so are you guys sold? Are you going to watch Fast and Furious, the fourth movie in the Fast and Furious franchise, next week?
Wait, what is this next movie called?
It's called Fast and Furious. What's confusing about it? It's called Fast and Furious, the fourth movie in the Fast and Furious franchise.
That's the actual title.
So is it called Fast and Furious?
The title is Fast and Furious.
What's the title of the first fucking movie?
The Fast and the Furious.
this one is Fast and Furious?
You're fucking me up right now. What? It's The Fast and Furious is...
The first movie is called The Fast and the Furious.
And this is just Fast and Furious?
The fourth movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise is called Fast and Furious. What is so confusing about this?
Wait, they don't call it out like Fast 4?
Why would they call it Fast 4 when they can call it Fast and Furious?
Is F5 even the fifth fucking movie in this franchise then? How do they have this shit set up?
Called Fast 5. The naming conventions make perfect sense. I don't see what the confusion is.
I don't know how so many people see these movies and make so much money. I don't know how they get past like fucking audience testing or anything like that.
Because everyone who watches it in the testing, their minds explode so that they physically cannot say what their opinions were.
Yeah, I mean, is that 4 or what? Fast and Furious on anything?
I don't know. They're all on Australian Netflix. If you're a
might have to get that
VPN user, but I don't know. Most of them aren't on anything. Some of them were on HBO Max, but they kind of go in and out. So, regardless, find it and watch it. You will not be sorry. They only get better from here.
Can't wait.
Well, that's it for Fasten Up for F9 for this week. We got several movies left to go. And we've got a new movie to review this week. A new Netflix release called The Woman in the Window. This movie was released May 14th, 2021, directed by Joe Wright, written by Tracy Letts, based on the book by A.J. Finn. The movie stars Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Anthony Mackie, Julianne Moore, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Wyatt Russell, among others. It's a brand new movie, so we'll keep it spoiler-free at first. We'll let you know when we're getting into spoilers. Then we're going to go to you last, because I know you read the book that this movie is based on. Bob, spoiler-free, what was just your general impressions?
Yeah, this movie kind of sucked eggs, dude. It wasn't... I don't know. I was hungover when I watched it, and I was already like not in the mood to watch a movie, and there actually was a few moments that got me, not out of my seat, but kind of perked me up. Like, I was little suspenseful moments in the movie that did get my attention, but for the most part, I was pretty bored. Nobody really wowed me with their acting, at least nothing that I can speak on that was exceptional. I think it was all kind of par or normal. Yeah, just not that great. I wanted it to be good, though. I'll be honest with you. When I read the premise, like when I read the synopsis, saw the cast, and then, started watching the movie, and now that I've seen the movie, I feel like it could have been. It just dropped the ball. Just didn't hit for me.
Yeah, I watched it this morning, a little less hungover than you. I went into it not really knowing anything other than the cast. I read the one-sentence synopsis on IMDb. I was like, this sounds like Rear Window. In a lot of ways, it is similar. It's also different in other ways. But yeah, I would say this is like just a perfectly mid movie. I didn't hate it. I certainly didn't love it. I will almost certainly never watch it again. I probably won't think about it again on Monday.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done editing this podcast, it'll probably be out of my mind. There was some stupid stuff in it. There was some okay stuff in it. The very beginning, I read that there was some reshoots in this movie. I'm wondering if one of the beginning scenes was a reshoot, because I really like Amy Adams. I think she's really good in everything. And at the beginning of this movie, I was like, Jesus Christ, is this what we're going to get for this entire movie? Because she looked like she was looking off camera, reading the lines just being held up on a cue card. It was pretty rough to see.
There was a couple times she had one, specifically a monologue in the middle of the movie, where I was just like, "You're not doing a good job here, man."
Yeah, so there were some noticeably bad parts. There were some decent parts as well, but nothing super exceptional. At the end of the day, I just felt very mid on this movie. But Ben, tell us how much better the book was.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear that 100 times.
I will in a second. No, it felt like all these actors, because I love a lot of these actors besides fucking Ethan. Worst fucking casting of all time, I just want to say.
The kid,
yeah.
Oh, I'm not a fan of him.
But like, I feel like every one of these people during not even during quarantine, because I guess they shot this. It was supposed to come out last year, but
it was supposed to come out in 2019 originally.
Really? Yeah. Well, they must have read the book and been like, "Wow, that book was really good. I want to be in it." And then they were just let down because this. I don't know if it was the directing that was horrible or what. Like, I know there's some artistic choices in this that are just kind of dumb, and they try to make you think Amy Adams is like going like nuts, and she is in the book, and she's drinking a lot and she's taking her antidepressants, but the way they try to put you in her shoes is like dumb. This whole thing just felt like a play to me. It shouldn't have been.
This felt exactly like a play in the same way that, granted, I've only seen like high school productions, but like the acting felt very like live
over the
theater
top,
play like it didn't feel like movie acting. I agree 100%.
And even just the set itself, like they're just in that house a lot, so it feels like a play.
I like that take. After you guys said that, I totally feel the same way.
It might have been a good play then, but like and seeing it live and shit would have been sweet, I guess. But overall, like I read this book last year, like at the beginning of quarantine, and it was my favorite book that I read last year, and because of that, I was excited about the movie, but seeing the promo or whatever, the trailer, I kept my expectations low, and I'm glad I did, because it would have really disappointed me. But I just, like you guys said, I'll probably never think about this movie again, and I'll just be like, I can't believe we did that movie on the podcast, because it just let me down. Like even like Gary Oldman, it felt stupid to have Gary Oldman and Anthony Mackie in this movie. I don't know,
because they didn't really do anything.
Anthony Mackie is on the phone for most of the movie.
He has one scene.
I swear he recorded his lines over the phone. He was laying in bed over the phone. Like, I was going to say, and it kind of makes sense later in the movie, but I was like, Anthony Mackie and Amy Adams have zero chemistry.
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie sounds super fucking bored. He sounds like he just woke up and he's literally calling into the set to record his lines. It makes a little more sense contextually later on, but it's pretty jarring.
They definitely didn't talk to each other besides that one scene that they had together.
Up until that scene, I was gonna say, like, I don't think Amy Adams and Anthony Mackie have ever met each other.
Yeah, it feels that way. But it really bummed me out. And I think this, like Bob said earlier, I think this movie could have been really good because the story is a good story.
I totally agree. I like the story. Like, I think it is.
They just like
they dropped the ball. It's just something. It's like
they could have done a much better job of putting you in her shoes and make you think, oh. There's movies where you're like, did that, like, I think of Gone Girl, where you're like, did Ben Affleck actually kill his wife? And you're like, for a minute there, you don't know. This, the whole time, you're just kind of like, I kind of know what happened. Let's get to the end here.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, and maybe you guys, I knew the twist at the end or whatever, but like, the whole time, it's just kind of like, you're not even, they try to set up, there's like 3 different scenarios.
They go for that unreliable narrator thing that they do in movies all the time, but for whatever reason, the way they do it in this, I like just don't buy it. Yeah. Like it just did not hit for me.
I was gonna say the movie's like telling you that she's an unreliable narrator, yet everything she's saying turns out to be true.
Yeah,
so there's no evidence of her being unreliable at any point in the movie. It's just like
it's just odd that she'd be saying this. Like she's easy to look at and be like, I'm not gonna believe her. Like from like the outside characters, but like everything we've seen, it's like, well, you have the fucking drawing, like
like we know everything. They should have.
But the way they show it, it's not like, did that really happen? Like, how fucked up was she at the time? I was like, nope. It kind of looks like that actually happened. Like the way they try to play it, like, is she or is she not? Like, it just doesn't work. It's almost like you believe it, and then once you get those confirmation, those little like bits, you're like, yeah, like 100%. Like, I was never really questioning it, but they just don't really pull it the right way. It just doesn't work. It just feels weird, like when you're watching it.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things for me is that, like I said, they try to tell you that she's unreliable, yet all the evidence points to her being reliable. And then there's just like Wyatt Russell's character in particular just like happens to have a lot of information that he holds on to in important times and then just spills later in the movie. And it's like, okay, well, that just confirms everything that we thought. And you already knew this before when it would have made more sense to explain all
Yeah,
this.
he doesn't
so.
make any sense in this movie at all. Especially like I don't know his whole dynamic as a character. I'm like, what are you, dude? Like, what is this relationship? I do like him though. I mean, I saw obviously Falcon, Winter Soldier. I liked him in that, and this is the only other thing that I've seen that he was in. But I think I'm gonna like probably start to like this guy once he's in more and more roles. I don't think he had a bad performance.
No, I thought he was fine, but I agree that it's just kind of a confusing
nothing.
character. Yeah. Be better in the book.
Wait, who the fuck are you guys talking about?
David, the Tennant.
Oh, David.
David
I
Tennant.
think you called him Russell or something.
Wyatt Russell is his
Oh,
real name.
gotcha. Because they're
Yeah,
Jane Russell.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what threw me off. I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, him in the book, it's weird. This isn't really spoiling anything, but in the book, he has like an affair with Amy Adams. They like have sex with each other, and
I
this
picked
is
up on that.
this is before you find. I guess we're not doing spoilers yet, so I won't say anything. But like, it's just really weird that they I guess Amy they made her look rough. So the whole time I was like, huh, I don't think they're gonna have sex in this movie, and it confirmed. I'm like, I think that's why they. Because then at the end, like Amy Adams is looking good again. I'm like, if they would have had her like that, would have made sense if they hooked up. But yeah, it was some things that they left out are just like they made the book better. I guess it would have been weird in the movie if they just randomly had sex. But yeah, it was.
Speak for yourself.
Let's just get into spoilers on this one.
I agree. Before we get into spoilers, though, I know we're all kind of mid to negative on it. Would you recommend it to someone who has or has not read the book? Is it worth? It's an hour 40 minutes. I'll give it credit for that. I was expecting a 2.5-hour movie.
So was I, honestly.
Hour 40. It didn't feel like it dragged at all. Like I don't think it was like excessive.
They push it along. It's
I
kind of
thought
a
it was
quick watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Would I recommend it? I think I would recommend it to somebody like Ben that has read the book, because I mean, why not? It's a quick watch. You know, if you read the book, why not watch it before it? And you probably won't like it, but I think it's still worth watching. And then I'd probably recommend it to like, you know, some of my like dumber friends. You know, people that don't really appreciate movies or understand what happens. Hey, check out that new movie, and they'd probably think it was really good. Because like I said, there are some suspenseful moments in this movie that, regardless of how shitty the plot or whatever
Just
has
the
been
filming,
going,
it's like bad directing in my.
yeah,
my
but
opinion.
we can agree there definitely are moments that give you a little bit of suspense. So I think some people that look past some of the other flaws of the movie would probably get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I think it's generally I would not recommend it unless you're someone who is just really craving new movies and you go in with tempered expectations. You understand that it's not going to be anything exceptional. Seems like I'm, only recommending this to a very, very niche group of people, but I don't know. I don't know that I could just blatantly recommend this to everyone on the street.
Yeah, it sucks because like we can't even be like Amy Adams was fucking amazing in this,
No,
because she
sucks.
wasn't, and
She
I love
sucks
Amy
ass.
Adams and like everything.
I like her and everything, and I did not really care for her in this.
She wasn't great in this, and like I don't know why. Like when I first heard she was in it, I was like, oh, that's gonna be good. And then I heard the rest of the cast. I'm like, that's gonna be really good.
If
This movie should be
you
good.
saw Anthony Mackie in the list of actors and you're like, oh, I'm excited to watch that, he might as well not be in this movie.
Yeah, it's stupid that he. I would recommend pick up a fucking book and read that instead. Do not watch this movie. Even if you've read this book, don't watch this movie.
There's really not a lot of screen time for some of those other actors besides her. Anthony Mackie, obviously he's on the phone a couple times. See him for 30 seconds. Even Gary Oldman. What is his combined screen time in this?
He's
You actually see him, not from across the
4
street.
minutes.
Yeah, honestly, and he's the one I like. Wish
he was
wasn't
good
in this
when
the
he was
most.
there.
I wish it was just some random
Think about
person.
that. The two wives, or not wives, but the two women. Sorry, are we in spoilers now? Yeah.
Not really a spoiler.
Yeah, but no.
Anyway.
I mean, it's just basically Amy Adams and Ethan the kid who are kind of in this movie.
Yeah, but other
And-
than that, everybody else is just like. I remember at the end, like the fucking psychiatrist showed up. I was like, he's in this movie too. You know what I mean? Like all the people are in it for like for a cup of fucking coffee, and then Amy Adams is mostly just her, which could be good if she put on a good performance. Sadly, she did not.
Yeah, Amy Adams, Anthony Mackie, and Gary Oldman were the things I was very excited for, and Anthony Mackie and Gary Oldman make a combined maybe 5 minutes of screen time, so, and Amy Adams wasn't good, so
Yeah.
it was kind of a letdown. All right, let's get into spoilers. There's twists and turns in this movie, so if you're adverse to spoilers, if we didn't convince you not to watch it and you plan on watching it yourself, probably not going to want to listen to this until you watch the movie yourself. If that's the case, go ahead, pause the podcast. We'll be here waiting for you when you come back. But in the meantime, Ben, did you have any particular gripes that you wanted to get into now that we're
Yeah, just
spoiler filled?
Just one of the first ones. It's not really a spoiler, but I thought the way did you guys get the sense that Ethan was like off from the very beginning? Like, did you?
Yeah.
Because like in the book, he's like this light-hearted kid, and he's like and you genuinely think he's getting the shit kicked out of him at home, and like he's like just scared, and she like offers him a place to stay, even like David's room, like when David's not around, if he needs a place to stay. In this, like he immediately comes in, and I'm like, he's the fucking bad person. Like I instantly thought it.
I've watched enough Criminal Minds that you can't get that by me, dude. I clocked that the second this dude walked
like
onto the
bummer.
screen. I was like, okay, this dude is like, they're playing him like, I don't know, neurodivergent, like kind of off. But I was like, and again, I'm going into this thinking it's going to be Rear Window. I'm like, she's going to witness a murder, and this guy's the murderer. Like, as soon as he walked on screen, that was my first guess.
Yeah, he's just clearly not unstable, but like, I don't know, it was a dead giveaway. Like the way, like tone it down a little bit, you know, act a little more normal.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's why I didn't like the casting that much.
That's why the twist didn't hit.
Exactly.
Like, oh, okay.
That's because
that was kind of you could have saw that coming.
Yeah, in the book, like they make it seem like Alistair did it, like Gary Oldman's character, and you're like, okay, that guy did it, so it's clearly not him. He's too obvious of a choice. So it leaves you thinking that David is the one who did it because he's kind of like just kind of there the whole time, and they don't make it overt and they don't make it too obvious. So then when it is Ethan, you're kind of like, holy shit, I actually forgot about him for a while there. So then it's like a big twist. But in this, it's just he steps on the screen. I'm like, this motherfucker is creepy. He's doing something.
Yeah, he's very unsettling right from the beginning. Like I said, I've seen enough Criminal Minds that I know kids can be murderers too. They've done that episode in at least 4 different seasons. Yeah, that was that twist did not hit. The twist of her family being dead, I
didn't seem necessary.
I didn't catch that immediately. Like I didn't, when she's talking to her family or whatever, I didn't assume that her family was dead.
That's what I was going to ask you.
That one did. It wasn't like a shock. I wasn't like, you know,
That's what I'm saying, but they
freaking out. But I was like, oh, I didn't expect that.
It wasn't telegraphed like the little kid was, but it was, I would say, unnecessary.
That was a huge fucking twist in the book, and that's like the best part of the book when that happens, because you're like, holy shit. Because that's what I was most curious about, how they could do this in the movie, and I was going to ask you guys then, like, was it obvious to you? Because she's not, when she's on the phone with other people, they show it, but when she's on the phone with Anthony Mackie, they don't show it.
I was picking up on that. Like, I just kept hearing him on the phone, probably, 3 or 4 times before they're on the phone before you actually get that scene where you find out what happened. But yeah, I was just like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, this is a little weird, but I didn't think that he was dead. So it got by me in that sense. Like, I didn't think that, you know, her family was dead. But then when the reveal happened, you're just kind of like,
in the book, it's easier to hide that like he's dead, because you're like, oh, she's just on the phone and you can't really see anything.
You're just reading it.
But like the twist is like even bigger, like that she was cheating on him, and the guy's calling her, and that's how she ends up killing her family, basically.
Yeah,
first of all, she should be in prison for that.
That sounds.
I was kind of wondering that as well. I was like, I think that's 2 cases of manslaughter.
That sounds better on paper. Literally, like reading that is like, oh shit. But like when I watched that actual scene, I was just like, once again, just didn't land. It was just like, okay.
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, like Anthony Mackie, it sounded like he was calling in from his bed.
Yeah.
It made more sense contextually. Like I noticed that their conversations were off. I thought it was because the actors didn't want to be in this movie. That was my assumption. So when it turned out that he was actually dead, and you know, it was just kind of in her head, I was like, oh, okay. It actually makes more sense, and it makes me not hate those scenes as much.
And that scene was one of the like more artistic choices of the directing, where they basically show Amy Adams seeing like the car crash in her house, and I just was like, this just kind of takes me out of it. I don't like that.
That one stuck out for sure.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the movie.
Same, like just on that point, real quick, Jerry. Sorry, but like when they show Jane Russell and Katie, I forget her actual name, but like when they show her getting killed, and they show like the blood hitting the window, I'm like, this is dumb. What are we doing here?
I also agree that it kind of stuck out. You know what those kind of scenes reminded me of? Another movie when we watched Cherry, how they had those like things that were put in there to be like artsy for the sake of artsy. It almost felt like that, where it was like forced in there.
They just did it like 2 different times. They didn't like do it throughout the
consistent.
movie.
Yeah, it was just
the way they chose to inject it wasn't consistent either. Like, yeah. I did catch on to they do like that snow effect, the spinning snow effect, a couple times before they actually show what happened. And I was like, why does this look like we're spinning in a snow globe? Like, I recognized it was snow, and then when they start driving in the snow, I'm like, gosh, she's gonna kill her family.
Yeah. I actually kind of liked that part though.
I like Dreams when they kind of show like
And it comes
like
back
what the
later.
character's going
that
through.
was
Yeah,
way more subtle and well executed than the other more artsy moments.
yeah,
like
because
that.
they could have overdone that too, and like showed them in the car ride, like just driving. You'd be like, she's clearly going to kill her family. But one of the yeah. Let me just keep going through my fucking gripes with this movie. I wrote this like a year ago, so I could be wrong. I don't remember her like at the end going to kill herself. I feel like they just kind of added that in there, and I feel like
Seems
that
like
would
a
have stuck
pretty
out.
significant.
Yeah, that's
moment.
why-
Yeah.
Question about that. Didn't she drink the pills, though?
Yeah, that I don't know how she didn't die. That
she just
that happened.
She just okay? I was just like, oh, she had
because
him.
she does that like every night. I think
I
she's just
guess,
at
that
that
just
point
wasn't
used to
enough.
it.
Yeah, I want to wait to get to that final climactic moment.
No,
but,
that's fine. But another part just that they totally left out of the movie. Ethan has basically corrupted her life, and you don't know like in different ways because they randomly show her learning French, which is in the book way more, like where she just is
I
learning.
liked
La
when
Pomme,
that came back later
plum or
when
whatever.
she had to ask a French person for an apple. I was like, that's why they showed that
Yeah.
scene.
But like she's also like on the computer all day long, like talking to like an agoraphobic group. And she's like has friends that she talks to and like tries to work things out. And she tries to like she is a therapist and she tries to help other people as well. Ethan makes up this whole fucking character that's like a grandma and has 2 kids and her husband died and ever since he died like she can't leave the house and like learns everything about Anna's life then. And you get like how sick and sadistic this fucking kid is and he's just learning everything about her. Instead they just show the scene of him like taking the picture of her. But like he was doing so much shit to fuck up with her
I
life.
was laughing at that picture, dude. Like,
So
I know
dumb.
it's supposed to be like creepy, but I was just laughing.
It
Yeah, it
was
looks
so
horrible.
dumb, yeah. That was one of the major things they just randomly took out besides the sex scene with David that they just left out too, which I think was a good call on their part. This one would have like showed how fucked up Ethan really was.
I have a question about Ethan. Remind me to come back to it. But something I wanted to mention with the family is that the thing I did really like about the family twist was that it explained her agoraphobia, because I was trying to figure out like why was she agoraphobic, and for the first portion of the movie you don't have any evidence as to why it is, so you're just like, did she just wake up one day and now she can't leave her house?
I just didn't care, if I'm being honest.
I mean, that was part of it too.
I think the book makes it seem like it was because they got divorced,
Okay.
and since the divorce, she can't leave the house.
But yeah, as
Or
far as I remember
separated.
in this movie, there was no evidence
No,
as to why.
they didn't say anything.
So then when it turned out, oh, you actually killed your family, I was like, okay, that could trigger some sort of, reaction that would leave you having some sort of anxiety disorder that doesn't allow you to leave your house. That checks out.
And that seems like a fun thing, like for a movie or a book. Like it's not really in a lot of movies where people like don't leave their house agoraphobic, and I feel like this movie could have done like even better with that. And they kind of just are like, yeah, she's agoraphobic.
Well, so I think the reason I was like I wanted some sort of reason why she was agoraphobic, because this movie is in a lot of ways like Rear Window, in the same way that Disturbia is like Rear Window, where someone is stuck in their house, end up having nothing to do, so they kind of spy on their neighbors and then they witness a murder. I think in every case in all 3 of those movies.
Yeah.
They can't even get creative on that front. But so in Rear Window, he's got a broken leg and he's stuck in a wheelchair, so he just looks out into like the courtyard. Disturbia, I believe he's got house
House
arrest.
arrest, yeah.
So in this one, they went with agoraphobia. I was like, okay.
Disturbia is the best one.
Yeah.
And so that I think is why I was like, okay, if you're gonna do Rear Window again, you need a unique reason to be in your house.
I thought that was a pretty good one.
Good enough one, yeah. But because you can just say, I guess for me, for the first part of the movie, it was like they're just saying she's agoraphobic. That's why she can't leave her house, and that's why we're making this movie. I was like,
And
I needed a little bit more.
I think it
than
takes
that.
an hour 15 to actually like
Yeah,
tell you why.
It takes a little while.
The payoff's there though. You
Oh
love
my
it.
god, it's so good when it finally hits. My question about Ethan, and I'm kind of getting towards the end of the movie. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to bring up before this, but what's his deal in the end? He's just sadistic. I feel like he has
Crazy
like
fuck.
2 sentences explaining his reasoning, and I might have missed them, or they're maybe just not there.
Yeah, I hate to keep saying it, but in the book, like she's basically onto him at this point, and that's why he reveals himself. In this, though, he could have just gotten away with it, but he decides
If
that
it
he
weren't
wants
for
to.
those meddling kids,
Yeah, he just wants to like kill David then, and then kill her just because he's sick. But like, yeah, he kills like his dad's coworker, and that's why they have to move to Manhattan. His dad covers that one up. And then he covers up the one with his ex because his mom was kind of a shitty mom. But like the fact that he just goes out of his way to then like torment Anna for no reason, and then to kill her, like he could have just gotten away with it because it's like that bitch across the street, she's crazy. Like she thinks she saw a murder, but it never happened.
Diagnosed.
Yeah, like and just could have gotten away with it. But like
kind of a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like the casting because he just kind of like seemed creepy the whole time, and then they were just like, just say these 2 lines and kill David, and then you'll be good. Didn't like tough look for David there, just getting stabbed there at the end.
Trying to be a good dude too, even in the end.
Yeah, I would have left that one be.
Yeah.
He's not even. I don't think he dies in the book. I think he just leaves the apartment because Anna's like spying on him way too much, and he's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So that I don't think he dies. I hope someone recently read this book so they can just be like, he's wrong about everything here. But
that was the other part in that scene Bob was talking about where she has her monologue and like everyone's in her kitchen. She admits to going into David's room, and he's like, "Why are you in my room?" She had a legitimate or close to legitimate excuse because her cat was down there.
Yeah,
and she just goes, "Oh,"
I don't.
And just doesn't
went
say
through
anything.
Your mail.
I was like, you had a semi-legitimate excuse. Why didn't you say my cat was down there? Just to explain it away. That was the time when...
You're nitpicking. That's great.
That was a little nitpick, but that was also the moment when David could have said, like, oh, I know all of this information about this lady, Katie or whatever.
Yeah.
She's actually the kid's mom, blah, blah, blah.
Might have maybe been a good time to mention that.
Incredible time to bring that
up. Maybe the person that you're getting mixed up with and... Actually, you'll never believe it. Guess what? like why? It does make no sense.
Like, the convoluted story all comes together, like, 2 days later when David just decides, now I'm going to give you all this information I've had for several days.
Yeah, that's a real bummer. David really fucking sucks in this movie for sure. Did you guys like during that fight scene when Amy Adams takes a fucking hoe to the face?
Yeah, that was
the gardening tool. That looked terrible, and I was laughing the whole time.
I was like, wouldn't she fucking die from that? She takes it to the side of the head. That would have pierced her head.
Cheek though. Like
they show her in the hospital with a little patch on her throat. I'm like, there's some pretty serious stuff you don't want to have a gardening tool get poked through in your throat.
Probably one of them.
I'm telling you, I would have fucking easily killed Amy Adams there. Ethan's a pussy. The way that he dies.
Really bad at running for her life.
Yeah, she's dead as fuck.
And
the other thing I don't get, just going back to that one kitchen scene, actually, before we continue to go further, why can people just walk into this woman's house so easily? Like, the cops are in there, and they're like, oh, the guy that is literally the suspect in this thing? Have him come in here, and you can let him explain what he did. That's not how police work.
Literally everyone just... They make it seem like it's so hard, like she has to buzz everyone in. They show that, but then
you can just walk in wherever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that is. You're thinking agoraphobic would have some crazy good fucking locks.
Yeah, but then they show her like locking her doors all the time, but also like
doesn't matter. She leaves them unlocked.
Fucking what's Gary Oldman's just walking into that fucking.
He is a
key.
like
it feels like it.
To go back to the fight scene, my favorite moment is when Ethan stabs the table she picks up and then disappears.
I was, for a second, when that first happened, my initial thought was, is Ethan not real? I was like, is this she imagining it?
That would have almost been a better movie then, because you would have been like, this bitch is fucking crazy, and it would have been a better twist ending for the movie.
Sprinkled little bits of that in there, we might have. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this movie could have been good. Like, that was one of the things that I thought, but no, he just has superpowers, I guess.
I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, here it is. Here's where we really are going off the rails. But it turns out, no, he just stabbed the table, left the knife, and just ran around the corner.
Really fast.
Really quiet as well. You couldn't see or hear.
Dude, it was raining. It was loud.
Yeah. So.
He stabs that knife, realizes, I saw a fucking hoe over there earlier. I don't need this fucking knife anymore. I'm going to fucking spike her in the head.
And then Chekhov's glass ceiling. They pointed out earlier in the movie.
They showed that like 3 different times. Like, hey, guess what's going to happen at the end of this?
I can't wait to see what happens with that.
Not only do they point it out earlier in the movie and then bring it back at the end, they also show you like 3 times before she actually puts him on the ceiling. Like, yes, I remember that scene. I remember the scene earlier. You don't need. Oh, you're showing me again. Okay, I don't need to see it again.
But aren't you just so happy at the end of this movie when she can finally go outside again?
That's my final point I want to make in this movie. Is the cure to agoraphobia another traumatic experience where you watch your tenant die, you almost get killed yourself, and then you kill a 15-year-old?
I get the aspect of her having to move out of that house because it's so traumatic. She would be fucked up for life.
Dude, shouldn't she be worse?
skipping about. She walks outside. She's just taking in the sun. She's like, I'm cured.
You've killed a lot of
movie
I
people to
killed
be
my
cured.
family. My tenant was murdered in front of me, and I had to kill a sadistic little boy.
And
But
she's
I'm just going
peaches
for a
and
walk.
cream, baby. We're just fucking.
And now everything is good again. Like, the ending of this movie left me very confused on how to feel. I'm like, this lady, 1, should be in jail. 2, watched someone die and killed someone else herself, justifiably this time.
Yeah, that one's okay. She doesn't need to go to prison for that one.
No, she gets off on
Maybe
that
have a
one.
hearing though, just something in court.
Someone should at least ask her a few questions. The cop who's been incompetent this whole time probably shouldn't give her her phone and just delete any evidence.
We haven't looked at it yet. Delete
He's like,
everything you need
You're
to.
good.
What if she killed her family and that has evidence there? But
She wakes up in the hospital not talking to anyone, and this cop somehow knows everything that happened and just like trusts her inherently. Like, I was like, I don't think this guy's very good at his job.
He does mention it though. He's just like, I really fucked up this case, so this doesn't matter
It's
anymore.
like, yeah, you still are. Like,
Yeah,
why?
You're not making it any better.
You found her injured, you found 2 dead bodies, and you're just like, she's good to go.
Yeah.
I thought she was insane before this, but now I think she's good to go. Yeah, the ending of this was, I think if there was even just a better ending, it could have made
I
up
like
some
Bob's
points.
idea where if Ethan was just a ghost and she was imagining this all, that would have been a better ending.
We could go through the entire movie and pick out certain scenes and like things that we would change about them, and it would be better. Like this movie premise, I think, is good, and all the actors in it should be good. It just does not land, and they just do not. It just doesn't hit right.
Jerry,
Like,
do you know
it's so
anything
much
else
better.
this guy's directed? Because I feel like if they get a better director, this could be a good movie.
I looked it up. It was nothing I'd seen or anything super
Yeah.
notable.
I think it's
Better
going to stay
director.
that way after this.
Yeah.
Shout out Joe Wright.
Remember that time you directed
If
that
you're
one
listening.
movie had a really good concept with all those famous actors and it sucked?
Yeah, as far as Rear Window, Disturbia, and The Woman in the Window go, I'm ranking this one 3.
I've never seen Rear Window, but I got to think Disturbia's clear and cut number 1.
Disturbia is easily a top 5 movie. So
Rear Window does not have Shia LaBeouf.
Very famous movie. Haven't
does
seen
it have
it.
an awesome fucking song that came out at the same time
No
too? Probably not.
Rihanna banger either, so unfortunately. But yeah, I would recommend Rear Window over this movie any day of the week. I think it was on Peacock for a while. It might still be.
I'll recommend Disturbia to most people I talk to.
I mean, yeah, that's,
Bob
that's a
doesn't
tried
shut
and
up
true.
about it.
All right, well, that's it for me on The Woman in the Window. You guys have any final thoughts?
I'm done.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think that'll do it next week. What do we got next week? Episode 9.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Penultimate episode of the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Fast and Furious, as we all know, the 4th movie in the Fast and the Furious
People's
franchise.
Fast and Furious is what they call it.
And then, is there a new movie coming out next week? I think there is.
Rush Hour.
Army of the Dead.
Oh, are we doing it?
The
Hell
fuck
yeah.
is Army of the Dead?
Zack Snyder.
Gonna be
Oh,
good.
that zombie
Batista.
movie.
Oh,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
This is gonna be fun.
We're doing back-to-back Netflix originals, so we can look forward to that next week.
Thanks for listening, and remember, don't get in a car with Amy Adams.